Hey everybody. So basically, like I said in the previous two other videos that I've uploaded, I got a few kits from North Spore, and unfortunately because of my phone, I lost the unpacking footage. However, I also did make a mistake on one of them, which is the King Trumpet, and how I set it up. Now I was able to fix it, but I wanted to show you how the kit looks like, the correct way to go about setting up the kit, and some pins that are forming recently. So as you can see, it is in a bag, and the reason is because the way I cut it was incorrect. So I set up the bag to act like a humidity chamber. So let me take it out. So when you get this kit, what you gotta do is you gotta just give it a stab up here. What that does is it introduces oxygen to the mycelium, and it activates it. Thus, growth begins. You don't need to mist it. You just stab it and then keep it in between temperatures 50 and 68 degrees. Currently it is the spring, about mid-spring, give or take. So what I did is, it's too warm in here for it. I have my other mushrooms growing in here. I have the chestnut mushrooms and the piopinos that you saw in the other videos, and those typically grow in warmer temperature. However, these are cold loving mushrooms, like I said, between 50 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So you want to make sure you keep them that way. Now I want to show you my mistake and what not to do. If you look here, you will see that I cut it completely off. Don't do this until you see pins forming. So right around now, which is what is happening, is when you can do this, and you can miss them more frequently because the pins are forming. Another tip is that when you do get the kit and you stab it up here, make sure you squeeze it out, like I said, to make sure that oxygen comes in to the kit, but also scratch the surface with the bag. Just go over the surface with the bag and scratch it. What that does is it helps get the mycelium excited to start growing. I know some other mushroom kits like oysters, sometimes they also suggest to do that. So like with those kits, you take a fork or a butter knife and you go over the mycelium, the surface. You just scratch that off until you start seeing the substrate, the brown substrate underneath. Now don't worry, you're not doing any harm to the mushroom. It will grow back, and it will promote growth as well. So now I want to show you the pins that are forming underneath here, because this is really exciting. Like I said, I've never grown these before, but I've seen a few videos. I don't know if you see them. See if I can show you. There's some kind of look like little balls on the surface. There's quite a few of them. And what I'm gonna do from now on is keep this off. I think I still will put this bag, but it will be a little bit more airy than it was before. Make sure that I miss them, so I'm going to do that now. Now, mushrooms don't actually, so the whole purpose of misting them is to keep them moist once they come to the surface. They're still going to be getting the moisture from the kit itself. So just an FYI, this is where the moisture comes from, that where the mushrooms get their moisture, where they absorb it. Once they come to the air, they become more susceptible to drying, which is why you want to make sure you mist them frequently. I know these are a little bit sensitive to misting too, so as long as you mist somewhere in the bag and you keep it moist, you should be good to go. These mushrooms love cool, humid climates. So, so this time of the year during the spring, this is a really good time to grow them. I think it gets a little bit difficult depending on if you have a cellar or somewhere that could be kept relatively cool. Your fridge is way too cold for that, but as these continue to progress in growth, I will continue to keep you updated, and I will now pack this up. I'm going to show you how I'm going to pack it up. Like I said, I'm leaving this open now, so I'm just going to actually bend it backwards. But I'm still going to somewhat have this over to keep them more humid. And I'm just going to keep it open, like I said, I'm not going to tie it. Just going to keep it like that, so it's like folded. It's getting its oxygen, but it's still retaining a lot of the humidity. And I'm going to put it back outside. Just an FYI as well, I put this in a box as well. There was some tips that I found that suggest you keep it out of sunlight, but also I thought that if it's a little bit of a warmer day or if it's a little bit of a cooler day, that cardboard is going to be extra insulation to keep it within that range, because there's been days the last few days that it's gotten to 38 degrees as well, and that is way below what I said. However, it doesn't look like it stopped the growth, but you want to aim for 50 to 68 degrees. And that's my news for today, and I'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, so I wanted to show you an update to the pinning. These guys are going pretty slow. So you can see they have grown a lot more since about 2-3 days ago. Look at that fat one right over there. However, they still got a lot left to go. There was a little bit of moment where the temperature went down to 35 degrees, really cold for these guys, and they did seem to freeze up, but the growth's still happening so far, so we'll see how they continue to progress, and I'll keep you updated.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to do a update on the King Trumpet. So I lost count, to be honest. I think these mushrooms have been growing slowly over the past week. These are probably the slowest growing. I don't know if it's just the growing conditions that is making them come up a lot more slower than other species, but they've definitely been a handful. Some days it gets really warm outside, but I have no choice. I just leave them out there, and there's been a lot of the last few days have been a lot more cooler than normal. Like we're talking like mid-30s. So there's been days where these guys basically froze, which is not the ideal conditions. They are a cold weather growing mushroom, colder in comparison to other mushroom species. But I think the optimal temperatures is 50 to 68. And as you can see, it's finally starting to happen. The caps are starting to form, which is nice. I'm excited about that, and there's a lot more growth happening. A little bit more pins starting to form, which is nice. So I'm excited. I'm actually gonna put them back outside because it's a little bit too warm for them now. Last night, like I said, it was I think it's 37 last night, so I brought them in, and then today we're in the 50s, so I'm taking them back out. You have to baby them a lot, so I mean, until you get to the good range around 50s, or unless you have a cellar that's constantly around that temperature, I would definitely make sure that you have that as a prerequisite to trying to grow these types of mushrooms. But I'm excited to harvest these. I think these are probably going to be the most rewarding. I'm very excited to try them. I've never ate them before. I assume that maybe these are maybe 5 days away from being harvested. We'll see. I could be wrong. They could slow down again, but we'll find out together. I'll keep making videos when I notice more noticeable changes that are worthy enough of a video. Because day to day, you don't see it. But today it did make a quick jump to these caps. So I figured, hey, I'll update you guys.
Hey everybody, so this is the final video for the King Trumpet mushrooms. I know it's I was going through one day to another, jumping back and forth, but I wanted to give this mushroom all the glory that it could get, because I think this one was the most rewarding mushrooms that I've grown so far. It's also the slowest growing mushroom. I mean, these guys were growing over the course of the last 2 weeks. Again, I do not know if this has to do with all the weather, the temperatures changing around. This is a finicky mushroom where it likes the temperatures between 50 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. But today is finally harvest day, and I wanted to make sure, like I said, give it as much respect as possible. And here we are. Look at this. Look at these guys. I mean, these are some fat mushrooms. Beautiful specimens. Food aside, they really are beautiful. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to harvest these, and I'm going to eat them at some point today. I try to harvest these, I try to eat the mushrooms that I harvest the same day if possible. So here we are, King Trumpets, and I'm gonna do a sample of how to harvest these. See, as you can see, they're ready to go. They have the caps have fully developed, and I think these are just gonna come out in a whole chunk, but let's see. Pretty firm. Just wiggle them out. There we go. Look at this. These guys, beautiful mushrooms. They're big and meaty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to harvest a few of them, and I'm going to save the rest for tomorrow. I'm going to keep them on. It might end up backfiring and going bad, but I just wanted to show a sample of how to harvest these guys. I appreciate you watching the video, and look out for more review videos just like these coming up. Thanks.